It was a typical Friday evening. I had just gotten home from work, looking forward to relaxing, when my wife Claire called me into the living room. Her expression held a mix of eagerness and something harder to pin down. "Sit down," she said, motioning toward the couch. I took a seat, intrigued but cautious. "We need to establish some new guidelines," she continued. I raised an eyebrow. "Guidelines for me?" She nodded, a slight smile playing on her lips. "Yes, certain habits need to change. It's about creating better balance and clearer expectations. You'll understand." Before I could respond, faint laughter came from the dining area, where her friends, who had stopped by for an informal evening, were gathered. The sound grated slightly, as if they were already weighing in on a discussion that had barely begun. Claire pressed on. "First, no more leaving clothes scattered around the house. Second, when I'm speaking to you, I expect your full attention, without interruptions or distractions." She paused briefly. "Third, we'll set specific times for household tasks, time together, and personal projects, all organized through a shared calendar." I took a moment to absorb the shift in tone. The room felt heavier now, with the undercurrent of her friend's earlier chuckles still lingering. I drew in a steady breath. "Claire," I said evenly, "I'm open to structure and working together, but I'm not willing to accept a set of directives handed down to me, especially with other people present. If we're going to establish guidelines, they need to come from both of us. They need to be mutual, not one person laying out terms for the other to follow. Before we continue, I'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the upcoming stories and updates here on the channel." The room fell silent. Her friends exchanged uneasy glances, their earlier amusement replaced by uncertainty. Claire's confident expression wavered, caught between surprise and a hint of defensiveness. I set my glass down carefully and stood. I'm willing to discuss schedules, responsibilities, and how we manage our time. But this approach, presenting a list of rules for me to follow, doesn't reflect a partnership. Without mutual input and respect, no amount of planning or organization will make things work. She crossed her arms, her voice measured but strained. "I thought you'd take it lightly. I didn't expect you to treat it so seriously." "It's not a matter of taking it lightly," I replied. "Guidelines in a marriage can't be issued from one side alone, particularly in a way that implies the other person simply falls in line. I have my own responsibilities, needs, and limits. When those are overlooked, it crosses a line." One of her friends murmured under her breath, "He's really holding his ground." The comment registered but didn't unsettle me. It underscored the importance of speaking up. Claire's posture softened slightly. "Maybe I approached it the wrong way," she admitted. "I was trying to bring more order to how we handle things. I didn't realize it would come across as one-sided." "I understand wanting more organization," I said. "And I'm ready to work on that. But it has to be a joint effort. We decide together what makes sense for both of us. That's what creates a solid foundation." Her expression eased further, showing a trace of understanding. The rest of the evening unfolded differently. Conversation returned, but without the sense of one person holding all the cards. Instead of unilateral declarations, Claire and I began talking through practical arrangements, schedules, responsibilities, and shared commitments, as equals. The next morning brought a noticeable shift. Claire was in the kitchen preparing coffee, and the usual undercurrent of tension was absent. We sat down later that day with a calendar between us, reviewing tasks, plans, and obligations. What had started as a list of instructions for me became a straightforward discussion. Each item was considered, adjusted, and agreed upon by both of us. By evening, the effects of the previous night were clear. Claire's friends, who had witnessed the exchange, interacted with a new level of regard, free from any hint of condescension. When Claire reached out and touched my arm, her voice was quiet and sincere. "Thank you for speaking up last night. I see now how my approach came across." "It's not about proving a point," I replied. "It's about making sure we both have a voice. When decisions are made together and each of us feels equally valued, that's what holds a relationship together." She nodded, her expression open and unguarded. In that moment, it was evident that the previous evening had served a necessary purpose. Not to create division, but to restore balance. Establishing clear boundaries had not fractured anything. Instead, it had reinforced the principle that mutual respect, rather than one-sided expectations, forms the basis of a lasting partnership. Reflecting on it later, the experience clarified something fundamental. Speaking up to define and defend one's place in a relationship is not about asserting dominance. It is about ensuring that both people are fully present and respected within the space they share. That night had made it unmistakable. A healthy partnership requires equality, where neither person is expected to simply comply, and where every voice carries equal weight.